Welcome to Entreprogrammers Podcast, the podcast for developreneurs, the podcast where you get to be a fly on the wall listening to real conversations of three developers trying to tackle the challenges they face as entrepreneurs.
We're live.
Yay. Awesome. So I was telling John before the call about my world blowing up, so.
Oh no. Before I got on.
Yeah, well, no, we were I set up a call because I was asking him about making courses because I thought, oh, well, you know, that might be another way to get some stable income because I could sell the courses all year long. And anyway, we were having a long conversation about that. But anyway, things have been just really tight lately. And yeah, to the point where I haven't been able to pay everything. So I've kind of scrambled and scrounged to come up with stuff to pay things like server hosting and stuff like that. So
minor details.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. And it's funny because part of me wants to get bogged down and wallow in self-pity because, you know, I did some stupid crap. You know, we went to Disneyland earlier this year. I've traveled a whole bunch. And then, you know, I paid a huge bill in taxes. And if I had worked out a payment plan or something like that, you know, been just a little smarter, then things wouldn't be so tight. Of course, this is probably a good thing because now I'm looking at things and I'm basically going to be talking to my wife and figuring some stuff out. And, you know, anything extra, I'm just going to be pushing back on until we have plenty of money in the bank to not have to worry about this kind of crap happening. But
yeah, really, it's good. I mean, it's good that things blow up early.
Yeah.
Right. Like, because this is a small blow up, right? You know, while you're the smaller company,
yeah,
this is good. Learn these lessons, blow up, rather than if you're like the multi-million-dollar company and it blows up real bad.
Yeah.
Like when you go in the hole, right? So I think, I mean, ultimately, like you've got some lessons learned that you can, you know, as far as the financial, and you're getting your books in order now, right? I mean, that's the key thing is like, you have to have the books, and you've got the books, you've got profit and loss statements, you've got a balance sheet now, which you can look at. And, you know, if you get yourself on a salary, then that will even out then you won't have to worry about even out the revenue at the personal level, because you'll just have yourself on your salary every month. And then you've learned the lesson of the expense. I mean, I would just cut all travel down, no additional expenses, no training, none of that kind of stuff, and just go straight to the, like, you know, just build up the coffers, and, you know, and you'll be fine if you do that. So I think, you know, ultimately this is a good thing because it happened early rather than later, you know.
It's just really, really frustrating because, you know, I did a ton of work in May. I've done a ton of work this month to line up sponsorships, and I just haven't had anything work out.
Yeah.
You know, I did a deal with Hired.com, and they paid me for 2 quarters. So, you know, I'm not having their quarterly payment come in at the end of this month. It's going to come in, you know, in 3.5 months. And, you know, some of my other sponsors, you know, we're renegotiating things, and it's just taking time. I have one sponsor that, you know, they're going to pay me, but they were acquired quite a while ago, in fact, by a much larger company. And so all of their advertising now has to go through the larger corporates
Oh yeah.
So they're like, we would pay you today, but we can't. And
I would gladly pay you today for a hamburger tomorrow, or pay you tomorrow for a hamburger today.
Yep. So it's just frustrating because, you know, I have a lot of things in motion and none of them are lining up. So, you know, trying to do the right thing, trying to make the right decisions. But yeah, it's just freaking hard. I have, you know, I have Newbie Remote Conf coming up, and so I'm going to try and sell a bunch of tickets to that. And I talked to Jamie, and she gave me a whole bunch of stuff for like an email sequence. And so I'm hoping that will help just kind of do a launch sequence. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know which of these things are going to stick first. And I don't know if I'm going to get paid before people quit because I'm not paying them.
It's a race against time.
So anyway.
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah, I definitely, like we were talking before, you need to have, I mean, you obviously need something in the short term, but you need to be thinking long term. Well, right. You know, I mean, like whatever solution that you do, I mean, how much, like, when are you going to get paid for sure that you could be out of, like, you know, I guess what I'm saying is, like, if you can avoid a short-term solution completely because time will just fix this, right? If your or rather, if your short-term solution is just to be upfront with people and say, look, this is when you'll get paid, you know, and this won't happen again. That's the best solution because that doesn't sacrifice the long term.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reasonably certain that I will have some money come my way by the 1st of July.
Mm.
But that's 2 painful weeks away.
Will it be enough?
It probably won't get my personal finances completely out of the hole, but I can negotiate that off a little bit. But I can probably cover all the business expenses with whatever comes in. The other thing is I mean, I do have some things that are looking pretty solid as far as sponsorships go. So I got a yes from a company yesterday. Of course, they tacked on another podcast that they weren't sure that they were necessarily that they could necessarily sponsor, but they sounded excited about sponsoring JavaScript Jabber, which is nice because that's the biggest show. So that's the one that brings in the most revenue when it gets sponsored. So if that comes in, you know, that would be tremendous. And then I have a couple other companies that weren't big on the idea of sponsoring the podcasts, or they put it off and said, hey, we'll sponsor it in the fall. I had 2 companies do that. Anyway, they were interested in sponsoring the conferences. And if they want to do that, now is kind of the time, because then your logo's up there for everyone to see for 3 months.
Right. Yeah. And
so if I can get 1 or 2 of those to come through, then that would probably work out well as well. And then, yeah, I've had some other sponsors that, you know, they're kind of trying to figure out what they're getting from the sponsorships and how we can renegotiate some of that stuff. So that's slowed down the payment cycle on those a little bit. Because I have one sponsor that they actually said, you know what, we're just not seeing a bunch of people come in from sponsoring the podcast, but we want to sponsor you because, you know, it's good for the community. And they're a training boot camp kind of thing for Angular. So you go out there for 3 or 4 days and you come back knowing Angular kind of thing. And most of the people who listen to Adventures in Angular already know Angular. And so I don't know if we're really hitting people where they live with that one. But
JavaScript Jabber would probably be better.
Probably. But I don't know if they're willing to pay the price that it would cost to hit people on JavaScript Jabber. But
what caused this crunch, like the current crunch?
Mostly it was just
fucking Mickey Mouse. Fucking Mickey Mouse. Motherfucker.
Most of it was taxes. I got a fairly large check at the beginning of April, and half of it went to taxes.
Okay. So, and the taxes were a surprise?
I didn't know they were going to be that much.
Was it... Okay. So, and this was just from last year.
Yeah. And what, honestly,
and you pay quarterly, right? But it just, you should have paid more quarterly.
Yeah, I didn't pay any quarterly taxes last year.
Oh, okay.
So it was the whole year's worth of taxes.
Are you going to pay quarterly taxes this year?
Yeah, I'm withholding taxes this year. So
okay, good. Okay, so How confident are you that you have fixed the problem that got you in this position?
I'm fairly confident. I think the other thing that I'm doing is just looking at what I'm spending on things, and I'm adjusting my the way that I think about a lot of these finances so that it's, hey, look, I have to have at least this much in the bank, you know, as far as emergency operating capital. And that way it's, you know, it's a whole lot less of an issue. John mentioned that we were talking before the call because I was asking him about doing courses. But yeah, he said I should have $10,000 in the business, and I'm thinking that I should have at least that much. Yeah, just sitting in the business, so that if this kind of thing happens, then it's okay. You know, I can cover the business's expenses for a month, or a little longer, because it costs about $7,000 to $10,000. I think $7's kind of the baseline, and then, you know, if I'm going to conferences and things like that, you know, it can go as high as 10 for a month, and then it goes back down. But yeah, if I can keep my expense, you know, if I can have a month or so in the bank, I'm never going to have a crunch that lasts longer than that, I don't think.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Oh, go ahead.
It'd be nice to have 3 months, but that's something to work toward.
Yeah.
Well, even if you just have the one, like if you have a 10K buffer in the business, that's a good goal to set up. Like just obviously more is better, but a 10K buffer, and then probably another 10K buffer in your personal.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
The 10K is kind of like Dave Ramsey's 1K.
Yeah.
Like that's sort of like the bare for the personal, like that's sort of like the bare minimum.
Yeah, I agree.
You should always have.
But the other thing is, you know, we spend a lot of money on stupid stuff.
I told you, fucking Mickey Mouse, that motherfucker.
But the other thing
Seriously?
related to that,
$15 for cotton candy? Are you serious?
yeah,
Daddy, I want a balloon. It's a balloon within a balloon. That's going to be $25.
Yeah, well, and it's a blinking light within a balloon within a balloon. So yeah, but the other thing that's kind of related to this is that in the business, I mean, things were pretty good for a while, and so I didn't really look at where the money was going. I started doing that, you know, in February or March. You know, started really having somebody do the books and looking at these numbers, and so I started cutting stuff that I wasn't using anymore.
Yeah,
and so that's been pretty helpful as well. So anyway, a lot of this is just, I mean, just getting stuff figured out and, you know, kind of nailed down that way. So it's like, okay, I'm not spending $150 on this service that I'm not using anymore. And I'm not spending, you know, I mean, I can still probably shut off another and delete a handful of servers off of DigitalOcean and save a few $100s there every month. And so, yeah, it's a lot of this is just figuring that stuff out. And it's like, why am I spending this money here? And it's like, oh, okay. Well, that's, you know, I shouldn't be spending that money there. But
yeah. And I mean, those are good. But again, it's the big chunks that you got to worry about. Because those, I mean, definitely you don't want to be wasting money on servers that you're not using. But at the same time, I mean, if you save yourself a couple $100 a month, that doesn't solve the problem. Like that, you know what I mean? Like even cumulative, even if you save yourself $1,000 or $2,000 a month, doesn't really solve it. Like the big thing is just having like I said, like we were talking about, if you put yourself on a salary and you've got a fixed income coming in, then you know, like what you're gonna, you know, you're not gonna cannibalize the business, right? It's like, you know, you would have to tell Mickey Mouse to you know, to go kiss off or whatever, because you're not paying $5 for a churro today.
Yeah, well, like I said,
sense a lot of bitterness. There's a lot of hostility and bitterness here.
That's why he moved to San Diego instead of Los Angeles.
Yeah, the Disney on Ice, that's the worst thing.
But yeah, ultimately, it's mostly just changing the mindset on a lot of this stuff, and it's, you know what, we're not doing any of the extra stuff because we can't.
And the budget, I mean, the business budget, that's the other thing too, is it's like, I mean, this is the same problem that Derek was running into, is it's like, it's great to go to conferences and to have training and coaching and all this stuff, or to buy courses and education stuff. But, and it feels like you can do it, but your numbers are telling you can't do that right now, which So you, but now that you've got bookkeeping and you can look at that, you know, we kind of live and die by the numbers. Like Josh and I, like we get that monthly report, you know, and look at our numbers, and I'm sure each one of us looks down at the, you know, I don't know, I do it line by line, and I'm like, okay, and I compare it to the last month, and I see that, you know, like it gives such a big picture. We know where we're going. And I think that's critical, because then you know if you've got the budget to do the expense and stuff. But if you rope those in, I think, I mean, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I think part of the issue too was that I expected this year to go like last year, and it kind of hasn't. You know, the sponsorship sales have just, you know, have not gone as well. And so I just, because last year I pretty much did whatever I wanted. And so, yeah, it's like, okay, you know, I really need to make sure that, you know, things can at least carry on at a baseline level for a while if things don't go the way that I expect them to.
Yeah. You need buffers. That's what you need is buffers and fix like as much stuff as you can nail down. Like I said, that paying yourself a salary will nail down it, make that, it will turn a variable expense into a fixed expense, which will make it more predictable. And then when you've got books, you'll be able to, I mean, you've got books now, but you'll be able to project revenue. You also need to get your bookkeeper to switch you from a cash accrual to or from a cash to accrual method, or to just prorate the sponsorship. So if you get, and we do this currently, I mean, we're doing cash. Well, we're kind of doing a hybrid, but we're essentially on cash accounting. But if we get a 3-month sponsorship at Simple Programmer, I have our bookkeeper, I tell him, hey, split that over the next 3 months, like right, so that, because then that'll give you the even, right? Because it's real. I mean, at this point, you know, when we were small fries, we're still small fries, but all of us, but when we were really little potato skins, we when we were making, you know, like when our revenue was like 5K or something like that, we could kind of like, you could keep it in your head and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, I'm over here or whatever. But when your revenue is, you know, 20, 25K a month or something around there, and you've got all these things going on, you can't keep it in your head. So, but if you
could be in a situation where you've got like 100K come in 1 month and then nothing, or like 10K the next month. So that's like,
but the issue is that the way that I've operated before is I look at the balance on the bank account and then decide if I can spend the money. And I figured out that that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, that's what we call a trailing indicator. It's not good. You can't go by the trail. But like I said, if you just get your bookkeeper to, when you get quarterly revenue, you know, to split it out per the month, and then your numbers are going to look way more even. Then you'll know, like in 6 months, if you do that in 6 months, you'll have data and you'll be like, okay, this is what our actual revenue per month is. Revenue, and I know, and I can budget off of that. But when it's spiky at the quarterly level, it's no good. And like I said, you don't have to move to a full accrual based accounting system, but if you do cash accounting and then you prorate the, I don't know what the accounting term is for, someone will comment on this and tell me, you know, what the actual accounting term is, but essentially prorating it for the 3 months the quarter. That's what's, because that's the one thing. Like if you have the numbers, you'll be fine.
Well, and that's the thing is we went through the numbers and we set up a budget for the business, and then I didn't bring in any money, so you know it all kind of went to hell in a handbasket. But I know about what I expect to pay for all of the different things that I'm paying, and so I just don't go over that. And so if I can get my income where I expect it to be, then I know that we're fine. But the problem is that my income hasn't been there. And so it's okay, how do we get it up where it needs to be? And, you know, I may just be in for a little bit of belt tightening, and, you know, the only people I'm paying are editing shows, and I don't really have any VAs. It's just, you know, editing shows and putting them out, you know, show notes, and that's it for a little bit. But, you know, I can grow from there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, you know, then, okay, well, now we're back to the point where we can do transcripts. And now we have, you know, we're making enough to where we have a little bit extra. So we'll go do the back transcripts that we didn't do for a while. And okay, now we've got all that handled. So what's the next project? What's the next investment to grow again? And just thinking about things that way instead of, oh, I want this. Can I do it?
Right. Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, I came to all these realizations right before everything crapped out. So, and then it kind of all got reinforced by everything crapping out. So,
yeah. Yeah. Belt tightening mode.
Yep. So,
and yeah. And I think that's the right, because like trying to hit the revenue goal, like trying to, I mean, obviously you want to grow the business and make income, but like if your plan is, if your budget is based off of what you expect to make, like what you need to make, it's bad because you've got pressure on you that encourages short-term thinking and does not like, and go off of the actuals. Say,
that's that's what we did.
Yeah.
Budget is we went off of what I was actually spending on this stuff.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, income-wise, not actuals expenses, but actuals income-wise. So, like, if like, if your revenue is smoothed out over the last 6 months, and you can predict, like, I always run like, in real estate, for example, on my real estate side, I've said this I think a few times on the podcast. I have a spreadsheet, and I have my like the last 12-month cumulative income. I've got the 3-month rolling average, 6-month rolling average, 12-month rolling average, and I go out to 24-month rolling average. Whatever my 24-month rolling average is on my income from real estate, that's rock solid. Is like I can count on that, right? That thing, it takes a long time for that to shift. So if that thing starts moving down, I got a ton of time to fix. There's a problem, I need to fix it, but I can count on that number. Like that's solid. The 12-month rolling average you can pretty much count on, but the 24-month, that is the most solid number that you can get. Like, you're going to have this income coming in, right? So that's my stability. So it's the same thing again with your revenue, is if you got a 6-month rolling average, that's pretty good. Like, you're going to probably be good. You got a 12-month rolling average on your business revenue that's evened out over that. You have a pretty damn good idea, not only what you're making per month, but what direction you're going. You're going up or down, and if you get enough data and you got a 24-month, then then it's like, that's your minimum. But if you base your budget, you should base your budget off of your 12-month rolling average, because that's the one that, like, you're sure enough that you're going to have that money coming in.
Yeah, and that's what we did. We based it off of the 12-month rolling average for the expenses and for the income. But yeah, then I didn't have any income. I mean, last month I think I made $700. So, I mean, there was just, and I didn't have any buffer. And so
you can't live off of that. Come on.
I know, right? It doesn't even pay my mortgage.
Well, okay. Another thing to throw into the mix here, Chuck, too, is, and I'll bet you if you go back and look at your numbers, this summer, I was just telling, so John and I John keeps telling me, turn our sales back on, Josh, because we had a fantastic start to the beginning of the month, absolutely killed it, and then this week, I have a theory that the weather finally got nice in the eastern half of the United States, and that's actually been a factor, like, affecting our sales, because it was like we went from like a steady $1,000 plus a day to a couple days where we had like $200 in sales.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I've noticed, like, some of the stuff with the book, trying to coordinate things with the book. I'll send out a bunch of emails, and like 3 or 4 hours later, I'll check my email and I'll have nothing in my inbox. I'm like, what's going on? Yeah, I think we're hitting the summer season. You're gonna have to remember that every year. I think your sales cycle is gonna slow down even more than. So you've kind of ramped up your activity level, which is good, but you did that at, right. Heading into the time when it was going to be the least effective. And so don't get too discouraged about that. Yeah. When I first went freelance, it was the same deal. It was over the summer basically. And I hit that situation where I had like no clients and no income, and it was like August, and nobody was in the office. So
right.
And the work that you put in now will pay off later. Like that's
think
the
it
other
will.
thing is
Yes.
it's like I'm doing heart rate training for running, right? And one of the things you have to learn when you're doing heart rate training is that when your heart rate's too low and you try to get it up and you speed up, you overshoot. Right, like it's a lagging, so you've got to like realize that what you do now is going to you're not going to see it yet. I mean, it's the reaping and harvest thing.
Right.
And so don't don't assume that you haven't been effective, because you've probably been pretty damn effective, right? So just keep on going, and then in 6 months you'll see the results from what you've been doing this quarter. Because I mean, you've been pretty much kicking ass on the sponsorship stuff. Like, even though some of the deals haven't come through, you've got all these new things in the pipeline. You figured out new ways to make sponsorship deals, right? I mean, we've been talking about this stuff. I think you're setting yourself up nicely for the future. You just have to survive to the future.
Yeah, well, there are a couple of things too. I mean, where you're talking about this, I've got follow-ups going with a lot of different companies, and it's funny because I'll follow up for 2 weeks and then I'll get the email, oh, well, we had this and this go on, and then I went on vacation.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, it's not completely unheard of. But anyway, so that's me complaining about my life, and in this particular instance, where things are at. And I mean, I am tired, and I'm tired of working so freaking hard on all this stuff. And then on top of that, I've been doing the Get a Coder Job beta, and I told people that I would have stuff done this afternoon, and there's no way I'm going to finish it this afternoon. And so I'm feeling guilty about that, because I told people they would have it, and they don't. So I may just email all the people who have paid for the beta and say, hey, let's do an hour coaching call, and get you, to wherever you need to be. And I'll get you the rest of the videos next week.
Well, what would it take? How much videos do you need?
Probably, I still need to finish up about half of them.
Which is like how many hours of footage are?
Probably 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that you're. I don't know if you get 4 or 5 hours of finished footage done today, but it might be a good drop everything you're doing and just get as much of that done as possible and ship what you get today. Like,
I could do that,
because you're digging yourself a bigger hole if you offer coaching, because that takes more time, and it doesn't, and you still have to deliver the deliverables.
That's true.
I think if you delivered an hour today, that people would cut you slack. Just like deliver something today and communicate your plan for when the rest of it's coming. So I mean, people can't consume 5 hours of video anyway.
Tomorrow is pretty much wide open, and so I may just talk to my wife and say, look, I hate taking up a Saturday, but I promised I'd get this out, and then just put in the day and just dedicate it to that.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, I think, and this is not judgy because I've done the same exact thing, but you're busy right now. You're trending towards the situation that you had earlier with the course where you didn't finish it, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to. You gotta nail this down, because you don't want that to become a pattern.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because then people will never buy from you again. So.
Yep.
Well, and this is that whole, like, the computer science model of, multitasking, right? Like the whole threading, right? And the whole time slicing, right? So like you have a system like this, operating systems have to solve this, is because at some point it's like, okay, the threads are fine. You're okay. You're multitasking, and you go from like 90% performance to 0.
Right.
because every time the thread gets its time slice, the time that it takes to swap out the contents in memory, its time is done. So all it gets to do is swap out its contents in memory and not make any progress. And that's, I think, because you've got so much going on, you're hitting that point where you're constantly like if you send that email today and offer the coaching, you'll be swapping out the contents of memory,
Right.
but not actually making progress on the thread.
Yeah.
So you're just going to have to buckle down and just be like, I'm going to let this thread execute.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I'm planning on working pretty late tonight on it as well. So
You're so much fun. Just
I'm so tired. Let me tell you, I am so not fun to be around. I am so tired.
hang in there, Chuck. Hang in there.
Well, and next week it's going to be like, oh, I won't actually be on next week, but in 2 weeks it'll be, oh, things have gotten much better, and here's what happened, and yeah,
exactly. Yes, the entrepreneur.
that's what always happens. It's what always happens. So
why for the people that are watching this, what the hell are you thinking? Get out while you can. Do not go down this path. Do not become an entrepreneur unless you have to do it, man.
yeah,
Do you want this life? Really?
hell's yeah, beats the heck out of working for someone else.
It does. It does.
So,
But,
Chuck, did you happen to catch last episode that the big announcement was that we hit milestone 2?
Yes,
And
so you're a dangerously close to 50% partner.
I'm a simple programmer now. Yeah.
He's effectively a 50% partner.
Yeah.
I own like 50.01% or something like that. So
Yeah.
we wanted to basically be 50-50 partners with a deal breaker. So I'm the deal breaker, but
I submitted that just arm wrestling would be sufficient in any time we have a disagreement, and it would have effectively the same outcome. But
I could totally see that though. You're like, you're pulling the, Rocky or whatever, right? And your wife's like, "What is your deal?" John and I disagree, and I'm right.
It was like when my see, I know not to make that deal, because when I was younger, my dad made that. He said to me one day, I think when I was probably like 12 or 13, he said, "When you can beat me in arm wrestling, then you can be the man of the house." I was like, okay.
6 months later.
Didn't take very long. I think maybe 15 or 16 I hit it.
That's funny.
Yep. And actually I hit it earlier than that, but you know what? I didn't realize that he was holding the bottom of the table. But yeah, Josh made it. It's awesome. So it's cool. Now we actually when things go to shit, we both get to feel the pain.
Yes.
I don't just have to worry, how am I going to pay Josh's hefty consulting fees, and everyone.
Now
we both have to tighten the belt.
Yeah.
Right. So now you just pay out 50-50 distribution, however you do that, right?
So
we're doing salaries, just like we advised you.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep.
Oh, I got you.
We will eventually do distributions, but when there's money, like on top.
Right.
It's funny. We were talking about this, and it's like basically everything we make is either going to, like, there's only two things that can happen with money in Simple Programmer. It goes to expenses that we have, or it goes to us. So it doesn't really matter how we end up doing it, but having the salary of the fixed, that's what you count on, like, because that that's the base level and you live off of that. And then if there's gravy on top, there's gravy on top. But if there's not, then you at least know what you're flying.
But there were tax implications before, so
yeah. It was complicated because like I was sort of technically, like, in the eyes of the IRS, I was sort of already an owner, but we weren't profit sharing. So any money any extra money, if we weren't careful, I would end up having to pay taxes on it.
Right.
Even though I hadn't gotten any of it. So that was it was really awkward, but we were able to work it out. So So now it should be pretty simple. But I was talking to my wife though this week about it. And it's hard to overstate how helpful the salary mentality is with just of paying yourself a fixed income. Because she's like, she was super nervous. I mean, like very nervous about this whole thing when I first went independent. But now she's like, you know what? I know it's going to be okay. Like she doesn't worry about it anymore. And, even like, just having a salary, even if it's not like 100% of your expenses, it's not 100% of what you need to live on. It's enough that you'll be able to get by. It's kind of like a worst case type of. You at least have a worst case scenario that's livable.
Yeah, well,
that's huge.
Yeah, and for me, I think that would. I mean, if it covered, at least the most basic of what we have to pay, just living. Even if it doesn't cover everything that we have to pay every month. Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna sit down with my wife and we'll figure it out. Say, okay, what do we have to pay for everything every month?
Yeah, what I did for that was I went through, and you may be past this already, but I exported my bank accounts, and I went through at least 6 months, and I was like, because we kind of had done like the Dave Ramsey budgeting thing, and we had these numbers that we had budgeted, and I was like, those are not realistic.
Yeah.
Like, what are we actually spending? And then I went through and I basically built our budget based off of that, and it's worked out really, really well. Like it's been. So I've talked about this before, but I have multiple bank accounts. Like any expense that we have every single month, whether it's mortgage or Netflix or whatever, all that money gets transferred into a separate banking account for monthly expenses, and it all gets pulled out of there. And I never even have to think about that stuff.
Right.
It gets paid. It's all on auto pay. It just gets paid automatically. And it's great. And the only thing that's variable at all is like the transfer that we put into our checking account. And that is, there's a little bit of discretionary stuff in there, but it's pretty small.
Yeah.
So we have it nailed down pretty tight.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've thought about doing something very similar because I'm pretty sure I can do that with my with our bank or credit union. But
so I got a call this week. That was fun. The Ally. So this is something like just for people listening. I'm with Ally Bank, but some banks apparently don't want you to do any kind of business related stuff out of a personal checking account. Like I am basically a sole proprietor or a contractor, and like, but they saw that I was putting this. I've been doing this for like 4 or 5 years, and they apparently just looked at my account and they were like, Stripe, PayPal. Looks like he's running a business out of this account. We're going to shut it down.
Oh, no.
Like so I have to, so this is like the best possible time too, because it's not like John and I have a lot on our plates with this book launch or anything. But yeah, they're like, yeah, we're going to shut your account down in 30 days. And so, yeah, so I'm scrambling. Now I have to scramble and try to, so I decided to go ahead and I haven't had a credit card in about 5 years, but I decided to get a business credit card for my business expenses. And I'm just going to have, so that way I won't have to, I can transfer, I can update all the stuff that I have auto billing to the credit card and not have to worry about the bank account situation.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I figure I'm pretty. Hey, Zachy. My kids just got home. Yeah, I'm pretty disciplined at this point. I don't feel like the credit card's going to be a temptation.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I would have been more worried about that, but yeah. So, but I'm trying to figure out. I think I'm going to go with. I want to go with Chase because Simple Programmer, we're using Chase, but I can't open an account locally, so I'm going to have to drive to Ohio.
Oh, y'all.
Because they'll open an account for me at a branch, but they won't let me open. There's no branches near my house, so they won't let me open one online. And if I was a new Chase customer, I could do it. But since I already have a mortgage with them, they know my zip code, so I can't fudge on that.
Huh? That's so weird.
Yeah, John just told me I should just give in and move to San Diego, so that would take care of that.
I don't think that would hurt his feelings at all.
Yeah. Eventually, I'm going to convince Josh to move to San Diego. He's been here enough times now that.
But yeah,
I've-
apparently, so
I've
the
teased my
whole
wife about moving, but our families are both here, and it will never happen.
That's the best reason to move. There's no
Yeah,
better
but-
reason than that, actually.
Chase is. I called Chase and they said they'd be fine with me doing business out of a personal account. So I don't think it's like a legal requirement. I think it's just Ally being picky.
Just set up a business account. I mean, if you're going to go through these hoops, just set up a personal business account.
That's
It's
a
easy
good
enough.
question. So I was wondering about that. What is the advantage of having a business one versus because I don't have any kind of entity, any kind of real entity to use. So I would still be using my social security number as the tax number and everything. So
Yeah,
Is
I
there-
don't know. I guess I mean,
the way when I was looking in like the business credit cards, I ended up just getting a personal credit card because it looked like the main reason to get the business card was like you can have multiple people, you can issue other cards, and I don't care about that. I'm not going to ever use that. So
I guess it doesn't matter that much. I mean, the main thing would be like if you had liability, if you had a separate LLC, you don't want to have fun commingling. So, but considering the nature of your side business at this point, I guess it doesn't make much sense. You don't have much liability out there. You're not really pulling in much income from it since programmer is really the thing. So maybe it doesn't make that much sense then.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked, honestly, because it's not like it's not like a huge amount of money that Ally is complaining about. So I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. I did talk to them though and called them. And they gave me a stay of execution. He was like, okay, well I can put this on a 30-day review and we'll come back and look at it again in 30 days. Basically. So it at least gets me past the book launch before I have to buckle down and fix it. But yeah, I probably have at least 30 or 40 different accounts that I'm going to have to go update. I have a list of this is one thing I do is every time I save my credit card number anywhere for any of the cards I have, I save that in a Google Doc. So I have a list that I can update whenever the credit card expires or whatever. I have a list that I can just go in and go through, and I don't have to go through my statements or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, business credit card is definitely a good way to go. It makes sense too. And you'll get a little bit of cash back too. Those cashback rewards actually make it huge. I mean, my personal cashback one, I've got the Citibank card that's a 2% cashback and it's just straight cashback. I mean, I make like, it adds up. It's like $5,000 a year or something like that it ends up being.
Wow.
So it's or maybe not that much. It's somewhere. It's
not
like
all of us just go
$4,000.
drop $10,000 on clothes, John.
Yeah,
Well,
John.
When it's business expenses, yeah, but that was a business expense. That was on the business card. So when it's a business expense, you can, it definitely adds up too. So I've got it on our Simple Programmer card. We charge everything as a Simple Programmer card. We get 1% cash back, and we add it up. It adds up. So.
On those business cards where you get the cash back, do you just put the cash back into the business or?
Yeah. Yep. Because then you can always pull it out if you need to, but might as well just put it right into the business or apply it towards the statement.
Yep.
So on the book launch avenue, we got a pretty damn cool landing page that we did on 99 Designs, but we still have to get someone to implement it. We have to get a PDF or a Photoshop to HTML person. There's like so many of them though. It's crazy.
Oh yeah.
I got like so many job applicants on Upwork. I think I found this guy. I think what I'm going to do is just hire this guy because what I did, I actually sorted by the most expensive because that's probably, in this case, that's probably the best thing to do. and I looked through them and just started filtering there, because you want someone who's going to be and it doesn't matter, right? I mean, people are bidding $400 or $500, right? It's like, or 530, like, so I think I'm just going to hire this guy from the UK that's 530 that seemed like there's another guy that specializes in Thrive themes, actually, Josh. I didn't tell you about
okay.
that. So I don't know. We'll have to look between those, but I think I'm pretty much out today on all kinds of stuff, but next week that'll be my highest priority, is to get that done, and then we'll have a beautiful landing page. It's going to be cool. I think it looks better than any of the landing pages I've seen. I think it looks better than Tim Ferriss's, honestly. So
Yeah, it looks pretty sharp.
Nice.
So we'll see. We shall see. Yeah, we're gonna test it against. So the page that I have up there now, basically the copies, we're gonna use the same copy, and we're gonna try test out the design. So we'll get to compare the impact of the design versus the copy, and see what happens. My page is converting like crazy, but it's not super internet marketer scammy, but it's sort of trending that way.
Okay.
well, and
it could be worse. It doesn't have any red letters or yellow highlight or blue underline or anything, but
right. But if this works out, this will be kind of cool, because I'd like to take a lot of our sales pages. Like, we could even take the same designer. I've already got in contact with him, and
yeah,
it'd be kind of cool to just like have him do all the sale pages like that, where we keep the copy and we just make it look, so we sort of get the best of both worlds. Even if we took a small hit in conversion, it'd be worth it, because we'd take a big boost in the brand, and it'd be kind of cool. But I think like this was cool to see, because it was like, one of the instructions I had on the 99 Designs was like, keep all the text there, and
right.
And he did. And not only did he keep all the text, but he actually took a testimonial from down below and he brought it up to like the very top of the page. So he actually added even more compelling marketing text. So I thought that was, he seemed to get it real quick. And it was funny, like there was on the very first day, it was obvious his design was the winner. I think he was the first person who submitted design, and it was clearly the winner. Like no one even came close to anything that looked that I didn't even, it wasn't even a contest. So,
oh wow.
Although it was a contest, but
well, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm really looking forward to testing this out. We're trying to figure out how to make it work, because it's going to be like it's going to probably be a raw HTML file that we'll get, but I still want to, I need to be able to edit it at least somewhat easily without having to hire a JavaScript developer to put a pop-up on it or something. So we'll see
right.
what we end up doing there, but
yeah. And we've got the book trailer too, which I don't know if you've seen that, Chuck. We'll have to,
I haven't.
It's pretty badass. I mean, this is going to be pretty cool. And speaking of like following up persistently, thanks for introducing me to DHH. Hopefully I don't burn your relationship with him. I asked him to write the foreword for the book, and he was like, no, I'm too busy, whatever. And so then I think I followed up and I made another appeal, and he said, that still doesn't fix my time constraint. I'm launching my own book. And then what did I do? Then I sent him a copy of the audio version of Soft Skills, like a code. And he said he redeemed it and he put it on his book list. So he's gonna listen to that. And then I was talking to Josh, and I was like, you know what? This is such a compelling, I'm just gonna do a video. So just yesterday, I emailed him a video I did personally for him that basically said, look, that laid it out, and really I think it's a super compelling offer that we have for him to do the forward of the book, which is it's essentially this: we're spending $30,000 on marketing for this book, and we are going to be email blasting on July 19th about 1.5 million developers. So it's almost like a no-brainer for you to take this chance to write a forward, because the very first thing that people are going to read in the book is the forward, and we're going to let you promote whatever you want. We'll put a link to your book in there, right? I mean, you're going to get this is bang for your buck exposure for the time that you're spending. This is you don't want to be, you don't want to be the guy that turned down the Han Solo part. And I don't even know his name. So we'll see if he, if he responds to it. I think he will. I think there's a good chance. I mean, it really is like, like a no-brainer. Like there's no reason why he shouldn't do this, because it's, a few hours worth of time versus, getting $30,000 worth of marketing for free is pretty damn good. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hate to do it, but I'm going to push us toward thoughts because I have to get off right at 11 o'clock. So.
Okay.
And I don't know if I have a thought because I've just been heads down working. So
you can't do that.
It'll get better.
You can't say let's do thoughts and then not have a thought.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing though, is mostly just talking to you guys. I talked to Jamie Masters, who's my business coach, and yeah, it's stressful and scary sometimes, but so far it's worked out every time. So, I'll just keep slaving away at it, and we'll get her done.
I was thinking, I'm probably do a video on this at some point, but I was thinking this week about how life is sort of like an obstacle course, and just to remember that, like, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so this is what it is. Okay, because again, people complain all the time about privilege and all this, and you've got it easier or harder and all that. I mean, you've heard some of these things, right? Maybe, I don't know.
I might have had a few of them thrown in my face.
Okay,
maybe.
So here's the thing. This is what I was thinking about today, or this week when I was running. I was like, you know what? If you think about life as an obstacle course, right? If you want to do maximum performance, right? If your obstacle course is easy, it means you got to work harder. You got to push harder, right? If you've got a pretty flat obstacle course, not very many obstacles, if you want to really get a good workout, okay, which is the reason why you're doing it. If you want to challenge, you got to run faster. You got to push harder. You got to do more work in order to reach your potential, right? If you want to maximize your potential on an easy obstacle course. If you got a challenging obstacle course, you just got to make it. That's all, right? Like, you will be challenged. Like, you will be putting your maximum effort, right? You because it's hard, because there's fucking electric, barbed wire and shit, and they're spraying you with ice and all kinds of, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's so that's the thing, is like, and what's the ultimate goal? Like, why would you enroll in an obstacle course like race? Because you want to be challenged, right? Because you want to see what you're made of, because you want to grow and expand yourself, and such is life, right? The same exact thing. Like, why are we here, right? What are we trying to do? I mean, I'm here to fucking become the greatest that I can, right? That's why we should all be here. but no, my point is really this. I was just thinking about this. Like, it's like, this is my ultimate argument to the whole privilege and all that. It's like, yeah, some people have easy obstacle courses. Some people have hard obstacle courses. If I have some days when I have the easy obstacle course, it just means I have to put in more fucking effort to get the workout, the same level of workout that I want to get the challenge. I'm gonna have to run fast. I'm gonna have to do more work, right? And some days when I have the hard obstacle course, or the hard obstacle course life, it means that I have to just complete it. But what, at the end of the day, what do you reward yourself on? What do you feel good about is putting in the effort, putting in the max effort. It's not really, it doesn't matter which obstacle. You see what I'm saying? Like, you could have the flat race and run it hard, and you feel like, man, I killed that thing. Or you could be like, the whole race was up a mountain, and you ran it slower, but you made it, and you're happy about that. So that's ultimately, and that's just the perspective that I have on life. Is it's like, whatever you give me, it doesn't matter. Like, if you give me easy, I'm gonna have to go harder. If you give me hard, I'm not gonna have to go as hard, because just making it is hard, right? So to me, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not, it has nothing to do with what the external circumstances are, or the situation. It all has to do what I'm bringing to it. And in both sides, as far as I'm bringing to it, is the great equalizer. Because if it's easy, I have to bring more. If it's hard, I have to, I have to bring the same amount, but I don't have to up it myself, right? So to sum it up, I'd say that, like, to try, which is better? Is it better to have an easy obstacle course or a hard one if you're trying to get the maximum workout? I don't know. If it's the easy one, you got to bring it, right? You got to actually force yourself to say, I better really huff and puff and run this thing fast because it's flat. If it's hard, then you don't need the you got to just make it. Like it's already there. Someone's already set the bar for you, so you don't have to you're going to exert max effort just by the virtue of making it. So there you go. That's my thought.
I don't know how to sum mine up succinctly, so I'm not going to try. But I didn't. We have, yeah, that's true. We just have so much freaking work to do with this book, and I'm really stressing out about it. And so I just spent. Whenever I get to this point, I had to spend some time this morning just going through and and going, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that, and just start eliminating things. What can I put on autopilot? What can I drop for now? What's not getting me towards that goal and giving me the biggest bang right now for my buck? And what can I, how can I pause that? And I'm feeling I'm still stressed out, but less so. So the answer, a lot of times the answer is not to just try to pile on more activity. You've got to carve away stuff and focus.
Yep. And make a lot of buffers.
Yes.
Especially time buffers.
All right. Well, I got to jump off for this call.
All right.
Kill it.
Yep.
Get that sponsor.
All right.
All right.
See you guys later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Wanna start a business, but you just know how to code. Listen to John, Josh, and Derek as we figure it out. We are the Entre Programmers, and we'll teach you straight up to be developers.